Hi there, and thanks for tuning in. I'm going to show you a video today about how I've created a weather tracker for myself using Claude, the $20 a month subscription, using Claude Code and using this piece of software that's called VS Code. This is trying to show that this kind of creation is accessible to everybody. So if you're somebody who's watching this who is wondering, can I start making things for myself, riding the wave of this AI revolution? The answer is absolutely yes, as long as it's stuff for yourself and simple things that you don't mind if there's bugs and if it's not exactly pretty. Obviously, if you want to go further with something that you want to make money out of or use in production or in your job, that's maybe a whole other discussion. This is just how to get started creating things with AI that can actually have an impact on your daily life, maybe on your home computer or even in your work computer just for your own local tasks. So I'll just explain how I managed to get to this point with this app that's just a one-page app, no backend. Oh, there is a backend, but not much of a backend, just API calls to weather services, because at the moment we're suffering through heat waves here where I live in southwest France. And a lot of the problems that we have is because the nights are so warm. So I wanted to try to understand where that comes from, why the warmth gets stuck and doesn't cool down at night, why we can't cool the house down at night. And so I started having a discussion with Claude, specifically with Opus, because I knew that I wanted to make an app after the discussion. So I wanted Opus because I wanted something that was capable of doing a lot of research, going through a lot of technical documentation and giving me the kind of scientific knowledge that I wanted. Whereas I would use Sonnet later to actually build the app itself, and not Opus because it costs too much. So I started having a conversation with Opus. I think I was using it on Opus 4.8 and I was using it on high effort. Yeah, I didn't push for extra or max. You don't really need that. And this is just my opinion from my working with Claude, that I think these are good ways to do it. And it's threw me out a whole lot of research about where hot days and hot nights come from, and winds coming from up from Africa to Europe and stuff like that. And it was a really interesting experience to learn about that, first of all. And then also to talk about, well, I'm obsessed with checking different weather sources, French weather sources, the Apple weather app, and trying to kind of, during the heat wave, look for that light at the end of the tunnel to know that there's going to be cool days coming. And so this was the idea that I pitched to Claude. Can I have a page that I can have open on my computer? So that the language is important, because I'm not asking Claude, can you build me an app? Because then it's going to start saying, well, do you want to publish it to the App Store? And maybe you don't know how to answer those questions. So the language is important. I want to build an app that I can run locally on my computer, which will get the necessary information from the sources available, do the mathematics and prediction model, and then produce our own kind of weather report, so that I don't feel like cross-checking a whole bunch of them, because this app has already done it. So Claude understood the spec very well, laid out the spec for me, asked if I had any changes to make. I probably said yes and tweaked a couple of things. And then in the end, what it produced was this. So, and this is what you should be trying to get it to produce in any case, is a specification for a project. So if it's just a local, simple project you're running for yourself, there's no reason not to just create a simple markdown file. So this is what this is with .md is markdown. It's this kind of pure text language that has some features of formatting, but like text formatting. So 2 stars equals bold and the hash equals title and stuff like that. And it's just a language that AI understands really well, because of course AI understands text way better than it's going to understand image, or if you feed it a PDF and it has to sort of see where the titles are, it's probably going to extract it to Markdown anyway. So it's easy for Claude to produce this kind of text, and it's easy to then read it afterwards. So we can switch over to the preview mode, which is a bit easier, and see the specification. So produce the specification. Again, you can question it, you can tweak it, and Claude will tweak it for you directly. You're doing this all in the chat and not in other tools like Claude Code or whatever. It could be Claude Desktop, whatever it is, as long as it's the chat, so that this chat, because this chat, you've got the memory that Claude's made about you from all the conversations you've had, the context of other conversations. It's able to go and do web research really easily. It's got a very complex system prompt that's going to influence what it produces and make what it produces much more complete and personalized than if you just went straight with, you know, Claude Code or something like that and asked it to make a spec, because Claude Code is much more focused on the coding task. It's not focused on the conversational task, which the Claude chat is instructed to do the best. So do the chat first, get it to produce the spec. As soon as you have the spec, then bring it into something like Claude Code or whatever tool you use, and that's where you then do the creation part. So I got this document, I downloaded it onto my computer. I recommend you use VS Code for this, and I'll explain what it is, but I'll just out of the gate explain, you can use the alternative, which is Claude Code. So Claude Code you can download for Apple and Windows, and it gives you a connection to your Claude subscription. So you're paid $20 a month Claude subscription or more. And you can just directly put the file in a folder, point Claude Code towards that folder, and then say, can you please build what's in the specifications? So I prefer to use this tool, which is called VS Code, which I just said you can download for Apple or Windows. And it is a coding tool. That's a tool that's supposed to be used for software development and coding. But in this case, and with the AI changes that are happening, I'm using it mostly just for AI coding. So I use it as essentially you can understand it as a kind of file explorer on the left side. So this top part that says weather_app, that's a folder on my computer. And everything in here is the contents of the folder. So this is a folder, all these are folders, these are all files. They have funny icons, but they're just files. If I go and look on the computer, I don't know if I have anything to hide there first, but probably not. If I go look on the computer and I go look in here, so I've put a folder VS Code projects. I have a folder called weather app. So make a folder on your computer wherever you want. And in there, you see the same folders as there is here. So there's backend with all the different bits, and they're just normal files that just have funny endings, and it's just stuff to run the app. It's nothing scary. So there's the file explorer bit on the left side, which you don't really need to do much with. Really, what you just need to do is dump the spec file into a folder. When I did that, none of this other stuff existed. It's Claude who created all this. So I had a folder with just one file. Then I went into VS Code. You'll see a window like this. I'll say, what do you want to do? You open, and then you choose the folder that you just created, and it'll just open like this. So you'll see the folder name at the top, and you'll see one content. Then you want to go to the extensions tab, which is there by default. You might not have the same icons that I do. You'll have like this, not this, and this. Go to extensions, search for Claude Code if that's what you want to use. And eventually it'll come up. Click the first one, make sure that the creator is Anthropic, because there are plenty of copycats. So you want the original one that has Anthropic with the blue tick. Click that and click install extension, and then it'll take a minute. It'll say installed, and then normally you should have Claude Code appear as this little star icon on the left side. If you don't, just quit VS Code, start it again, and you'll probably see it on the left side. And if not still, you can go over and right click on the left side, and you'll see like Claude Code will be down here without a tick. You just click it, it'll tick it, and it'll show it here. So then we'll click here. All you see is this really, really simple interface. You'll click new session, and it'll open up with, let's click new session just to see what it looks like. It'll open up like this. And then you're going to want to connect it to your Claude account. Now, I can't remember when I installed it, if it told me to connect at the very beginning or if I had to do it myself. But just in case, if you have to do it, click on the slash thing down here and go to account and usage. And then it'll let you hook up your account. So it'll tell you if you've got your email connected or not, and you can connect your Claude account. So this is my personal Claude account that I pay $20 a month for, and I get, it's not a huge limit, but I was able to create this whole app in one evening with no problem, and I haven't really used up much of my monthly limit. So you get here, what you want to do first is go down here where it says auto mode or whatever it is by default, click it and change it to plan mode. keep the effort on high. You don't need it to be mega high unless you're doing some crazy insane project, but normally the sort of medium effort is fine, which here for this is high. You don't need to worry that much about changing models. Claude will handle that by itself. So go into plan mode and then say, can you please help me build this project? It's going to go and read the only file that's in the folder. It's the same thing in Claude Code. If you do the Claude Code method, you'll point it towards the folder, say the same thing. Can you please help me build this project? The specification is going to be good enough because you've done it in Claude Chat. It's going to be really extensive. So Claude's going to read it. It's going to have a good think about it. And then for me, it came out with this. So it said, let me explore the thing, the directory has a spec file, let me read it and understand. So it just does its own thing. It just talks to itself for a really long time. And then eventually it'll say, I have enough to do, propose you a plan. Before I give you a plan, I have questions. It's going to pop up on the screen with some questions. You answer them, and then it keeps thinking. And then eventually, and like I said, this is all on the $20 a month plan. I'm not using pay as you go or something like that. So that gives me the plan. It's done some web searches maybe, I think, as well, while it's been planning. It's good to review the plan because Claude Code and Claude Chat will definitely disagree with each other quite often. So it'll say, oh, in the plan it says we should do this, but I actually think we should do this. And you're not going to understand it maybe if you're not a technical person. Don't be afraid to say, look, I actually don't know what the difference is. Can you explain? Because you're saying that's better, but I just had a chat with Claude that said this was good. So can you please give me the pros and cons? Tell me really what's going to be the impact of making these different choices. And sometimes it'll be a really banal choice that doesn't really make a difference, but Claude flags it just in case, which is great. And I think that's one of the strengths of Claude over ChatGPT, for example, or Gemini, is that it will flag things that it thinks might, even banal things that it thinks might cause a problem later on, or that you might be missing, which is where a lot of AI coded apps go wrong. So feel free to really push back, really ask it for clarification. You're not going to waste tokens. And actually it helps it as well. You know, if it goes through the process of explaining it to you, it may even itself stumble upon thoughts that it didn't think about and say, oh, I should actually adapt the plan. It's good that you brought that up. So really don't be afraid to push back and have a think about it. Then it'll say, do you want to approve the plan? And it's going to probably move into ask before edits mode. Personally, I just switch it to auto mode at that point. Once it's done the really good spec, it's really planned it out, it's got that session memory where it remembers the plans and the questions and the answers. You can just kind of let it go and let it do its thing until it gets to the point where it says, which it took a while, but you can see that it's like ticking off things on its list as it goes. So you just let it go get yourself a cup of coffee because it's going to take like 5-10 minutes or more, depending on the app. And then eventually, there we go, got to the end. It's verifying things, testing things, nice. And eventually it's going to say, I'm done, I built it. And here's where you go to get it. And the nice thing about VS Code is then when it says, here it is, it's running. So you'll see that it looks a little bit like a website, but with numbers. This is the local host, so your local computer, just your machine with no internet. So if you click that, it's going to open in either Google Chrome or Safari or whatever, or it's going to open, in this case, it's going to open inside VS Code directly. So I actually have in this project, the app, so to speak, is open inside VS Code. So I don't need to put it in Google Chrome and then kind of remember what the sequence of numbers is or whatever. I just keep these things open and I just keep this window open, and that's my app open on my computer. And it's not taking up that much space. It's all good. So I clicked it, I opened it, had a look at it, thought that was cool, but didn't understand because initially, if I can zoom in, it had the predictions for the different days, but it was coming up to like red zones and saying it's going to be 37 degrees centigrade, which is like 110 degrees Fahrenheit or something. And it was scary. And I talked to Claude about, okay, this still doesn't reassure me. How much of a delta is there between the lowest and the highest prediction? And it said, oh, that's a really good idea. We should add the high and low predictions to the app. I think that was, maybe it wasn't at this point. I had several different things where I said, oh, this is cool, but, and then sometimes what I had to do was, when it didn't really understand me or I was worried that it wasn't going to get what I'm saying, like by, for example, saying, I think there was one point where it said, there's no cool nights in sight, even though I could see that there was cool nights coming up. So instead of just saying, it says this, and then Claude says, huh, where? I don't see it, because Claude doesn't see the app. You take a screenshot. So I would go, whatever it is, print screen on Windows, or it's Command Shift 4 on Mac. Just drag, take a nice screenshot of this bit, and then go into Claude and say, the message is wrong, blah, 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 and I want you to fix it, and then upload that picture that you just took from your screenshot folder. And then Claude will be able to see, because it can use its vision model to actually visualize. Up until that point, it doesn't, as far as I know, have an inbuilt browser, so it can't open my app and have a look at it, take a screenshot itself. It requires me to do that. So if something is wrong, you don't like the style, maybe the icons are wrong, whatever, or you just feel like it doesn't look good, just take a screenshot and say, Claude, I don't think this looks good. Can we have a discussion about it? And it'll say, yeah, you're right. There's this bit which doesn't have enough spacing, or there's too cluttered with the text, or whatever. The text is too small. You keep having to zoom in. So yeah, screenshots plus feedback. You're the user, give it feedback and tell it what you like, what you don't like. Tell it when you click this button, it didn't change the temperature, stuff like that. Just try everything, click everything, try to break it. Maybe you click the graph and you're like, oh, it's a bit sad that you can't kind of pinpoint a point on the graph and see the readout of what there is here on the graph. Normally, if you hover the mouse, you would be able to see that. So that's a conversation I could have with Claude. Or I want to have more data, maybe. I want to have the full readout from all the APIs that it contacted. So just thinking through and editing and continuing, not forever, and don't get stuck in the loop of trying to create something amazing and you never get finished. Just get it to the point you actually wanted it to. And now it is for me. I can see that, there is a heat wave coming up, but these days are going to be rough because the lowest estimate's 30. That means we're definitely going to have heat. But things can change. So I just look at this, I refresh it a couple of times a day, and it gives me the readouts, and it's all here locally on my computer. And that's it. I could just leave it here forever. I've done one session with Claude Code. Is this, and it created this, and that's it. Now I've got an app. So move on to the next thing, start a different discussion with Claude about something else you want to do, and just keep making apps like this. And if it ever disappears, just open the folder, start a session, say, hey Claude, I actually lost the address of the app that we made. Can you show it to me again? Can you spin it up again? And it'll say, yeah, sure, no problem. And it'll make another little link that you click. It'll open your app. You're done. You don't have to get into the technical specificities of what it is to run an app and have sort of front ends and back ends and databases and stuff like that, which you might encounter if your app is more complex than mine. Maybe you want to kind of save the views and have kind of a version history of what different temperatures predictions were and how they evolved over time. So you need to save the data somewhere. So Claude recommends creating a database, but then that means you need to use Docker, which is probably the most likely case for some of your creations. So just a final point would be, everything I've shown you is all you need. VS Code, put the plugin for Claude Code there, sign in with your Claude account, start a session, and you're good to go. But Claude might at one point say, oh, we need a database. The best way would be if you just install Docker. It's going to be really easy for me. So go to the Docker website, download Docker Desktop for PC or Mac, install it. It'll just open and run. You don't need to worry about it. For me, it sits up here and sucks up some of my computer's resources. So, if you have a slower computer, that's going to be a bit tricky. But it's a really easy kind of database environment for Claude to use that it knows how to use really well. And it's going to be able to spin up something like a database or some storage in Docker really easily that it can use for your project. So that's something to those are the sort of two tools that might sound scary because they're really for developers. But in the AI coding world, they've become tools that anybody can use with no technical experience. At no point did I go into the files and say, let me have a look at what Claude's done, which is irresponsible if this was a production application. But as something I'm just using for myself on my computer, there's absolutely no problem. I'm not going to go and look into, what's this and this HTML file, what does that do? And if you want to learn about it, feel free, go ask Claude to explain it to you. Ask Claude to, can you take me through the file structure and how you actually did this? Because I would love to learn. And maybe you want to learn how to code. Awesome. But I'm just speaking more to people, the 90% of people who are just going to want to build simple applications for themselves, have a bit of fun, Don't be worried about the way that these tools are made. They're today just easy tools for anybody with no technical experience to make an entirely functional application exactly the way they want it to be, and make dozens of them if you want to. Just throw away applications with $20 a month. Why not? Just make anything your mind can think of. And if you want to take any of them further, then have a proper sit down discussion with Claude about, I've got my little local app. How do I take that to actually putting it out there for my friends to use? That's a whole other discussion. Security concerns, API keys, passwords. So go and have a proper discussion with Claude or contact a developer for that. But if it's just having fun on your own, have at it, and I hope you enjoy. And I would love to see the things that people build. If you want to post it in the comments, feel free, and I'll see you in the next one.